His company aims to recoup losses similar to what has now happened with FTX investors, as well as automate legal issues. FTX is actually one of your backers, right? So let's put that out on the table. You are working, though, to get investors' money back. Josh, this is complicated. Walk us through it.
Yeah, so they invested in us about a year ago, and from a practical standpoint, it was a very small investment, but it's culturally, it goes against everything we believe in, and so we're working hard to help people get money back from FTX. The most important thing to know is there's this regulation, it's called Regulation E, and it means that if you've deposited money in FTX through ACH direct deposit, you can actually get it back if you've deposited within the last 60 days. There's no discretion that the banks or anyone has. You can tell your bank, I want to reverse the deposit, and then they can reverse it. And then what happens is FTX's payment processor is on the hook for refunding the money to you. And so we've been automating a lot of these sorts of refunds. One other type of refund you can do is if you loaded up your FTX balance with a credit or debit card, you can also dispute the payment under something called the Fair Credit Billing Act. And it's the least we can do, given that he was actually a small investor in our company.
Talk to us about that experience, Josh, about getting funding. Did anything make you think it was amiss?
There were many, many things. There was a bait and switch, I felt like. I had a friend introduce us, and they said, FTX Ventures would love to invest a small check in your round. And it turned out that when the documents were being circulated, they changed the name of the entity to the Alameda Research. And I didn't even know what that was at the time, but I thought it was very shady that it wasn't actually FTX investing when it was presented to us that they would be the ones investing. On top of that, I told FTX, I think crypto is a scam. Our company helps consumers fight other companies like Celsius. There's no value to crypto. And they said, no problem, we would still love to invest. So the fact that it goes against... Sorry,
you told FTX that crypto is a scam, but you still took money from them for your business. Let's be clear about that.
Yeah, I thought they could give us expertise on going after other crypto exchanges. I think the last time we spoke, we were going after Celsius, and they were very helpful there. And no one could have imagined that 6 months to a year later, they would be doing all of this stuff. No one could have predicted it. And I thought FTX was one of the good ones, and I was wrong.
That's absolutely extraordinary. And to that end, are you getting involved in any sort of class action? Are you looking at any form of legal action yourself, or is this more a focus on how your business can help others right now?
We're just trying to help others. There are amazing lawyers working on the consumer side with class actions. There's a firm called Entwistle and Capucci. They were big in the Madoff class action and MF Global class action, and so we're sending people their way. We're working in small claims court. One area that hasn't been explored enough is going after the YouTubers. There are a lot of people in the FTX orbit who are pushing consumers to sign up, saying, this thing is totally safe, use my referral code. And I think regulators and courts need to look into the personal finance YouTubers who ordinary people trusted with their life savings.
Josh, I want to ask you about your users and customers. I appreciate there may be an element of confidentiality or privacy, but can you give us any sense of how much money people are trying to claim back and win back? You know, what are the losses that people in the real world have suffered?
On a grand scale, I think it's publicly reported to be over 10 billion. But on our end, we've helped, we have millions being processed, being refunded through the banks. So if you've lost money in FTX, I can't stress this enough, if you direct deposited in the last 60 days, you should phone up your bank and say, under Section E of the CFPB regulations, I want a refund. And your bank can't say no. And they don't want to tell you about this, but you should definitely go that route if it's an option for you.
Josh, what did you learn actually from FTX about the ability to claw back money from other Celsius and the like, many of which, you know, they themselves were acting as a white knight involved in. Was it and is it easy, transparent to be able to do such?
It's really not. The system is built on so much trust that consumers and regulators could never have imagined that all the money would never be there. And so in a lot of these cases, when a company declares bankruptcy, everything gets frozen, as is the case with FTX and Celsius. But there are other things you can do, like these workarounds with reversing the funds, contacting your credit card company, taking third parties to small claims court who aren't being properly held responsible.
Hey, Josh, if you raise money again from an outside investor, what lessons have you learned from your involvement with FTX?
I think our name and our brand is extremely important, and we should be very careful to make sure that anyone, even if they're putting in a small check and they have no influence, we should make sure that everything is like squeaky clean. I thought that that was the case with FTX. There were investors in Sequoia, all of Silicon Valley, but in reality, all of these crypto companies had shaky foundations.